virtual students. Today in class, we worked on this lesson, this slides from 2.5.4. So it's in Unit 3 in your Google Classroom. I've returned it to you if you already turned it in so that you can get on and edit it while we go over it today in class. So the first slides were about the TEKS, and then there was a video for changing one equation to another, which you're going to need today. Then the instructions are everywhere that there's the word answer or a question mark, you have to, that's a text box, and you're going to change the word answer to whatever the answer is. For the graphed line, okay, you're going to be able to click on it and move it over onto the graph, and then use a little dot at the top to help rotate it. Okay? So problem number 1 only gives us standard form. So the shortcut for standard form is the chimp, right? That I gave y'all. My monkey doesn't look very good, but anyway, so the chimp method, okay? So can a chimp blow a bubble? That's the question, and the answer is no. So that's where the negative sign comes from. This information, this shortcut, tells us the x-intercept, the y-intercept, and the slope. Okay. So what is the can a chimp blow a bubble? No, telling me or talking about? So it's talking about the C over the A, the B, the C over the B, and the A over the B in standard form. So standard form is AX plus BY equals C. So my A for this problem is 1 because in front of my X is a 1. The B in this problem is negative 1. Okay, it's what's in front of my Y, and it includes the sign in front of it. Okay, and then my C is 5. Now that I know what my A, B, and C is, I can use my shortcut to figure out my y-intercept, my x-intercept, and my slope. So my x-intercept is C over A. So C over A, so 5 over 1 reduces to just 5. That's my x-intercept. So my x-intercept is 5, 0. It's always a 0 for the y-coordinate because if it's intersecting, okay, the x-axis, then that means it doesn't go up or down any at all. It stays on the axis, so it's 5, 0. So for the y-intercept, I'm going to take my C again and divide it by my B, which is negative 1. So 5 divided by negative 1 is negative 5, and that's my y-coordinate because it's my y-intercept, and my x is always going to be 0 for my y-intercept. Now to figure out the slope, we can use the shortcut, or I have 2 points, so I can do my rise over my run. So from this point up is plus 5, and then over is also plus 5. So my rise was 5 and my run was 5, and that reduces to 1. Okay, we can also do negative A over B. The negative in front of the A means we're going to change the sign always. So A is positive 1, so to make it negative, it's going to be negative 1 over negative 1 for my B. Negative 1 divided by negative 1 also reduces to 1. So now that I have my y-intercept and my slope, I can figure out my slope-intercept form. Slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b. Okay? My m is my slope. My b is my y-intercept. Okay? So my m is 1. So I've got y equals 1x plus b, which is negative 5. So it's actually minus 5. I don't need this 1 in front of my x. Okay, I won't count it wrong, but Get More Math says that it's not simplified all the way if that happens. So 1 x minus 5, so y equals x minus 5. Now that I have that information, I can fill in my table. Okay. My table tells me these are my x values. I need to figure out what my y values are. That's what this formula is telling me. So y equals x minus 5. So I'm going to substitute 1 in for my x. So 1 minus 5 is negative 4. 3 minus 5, okay, is negative 2. And 8 minus 5 is 3. So in my table, I should have negative 4, negative 2, and 3. Over here, to graph your line, you can't do the points on this activity. Okay, you just have to kind of visualize the points. And you're going to pick up your line and drag it over. I suggest that the middle of your line, you drag over to be where your y-intercept is. And then when this dot pops up at the top, you can rotate it, and that point will stay where you put it, and will make the graph the most accurate. Now, I'm not going to be grading on real accuracy on the graph, but if it is not where that it at least looks like you made an effort at getting it in the right spot, then it's not going to be correct. Okay? It definitely should not have a negative slope. Okay? That's not correct because my slope is a positive. So your slope your line needs to be going up. Okay? So now look at the second problem. And the second problem gives us the slope-intercept form. So really quickly, it gives us my slope. Okay, so my slope is 2/3. My y-intercept is negative 4, so always my 0 is always my x. So my y is negative 4. Now that I have that information, where do I go from here? Well, a couple of things. I've got a point and my slope. I can graph it and count my slope and get my x-intercept that way. I can fill in my table. I know if x equals 0, y is negative 4. So I've got that information. I can substitute in 3 to get these other numbers, or these x's to get the other numbers. So 2/3 times 3 minus 4 gives me negative 2. And 2/3 times negative 3 minus 4 gives me negative 6. So those didn't give me my x-intercept. So I still need to solve for my x-intercept. My y is 0, which means I can substitute 0 in right here. 0 equals 2/3 x minus 4. Now I need to work it out. I need to solve for x and get x by itself. So add 4 to both sides. I get 4 equals 2/3 x. Now your calculator will let you divide by a fraction. So the number in front of your x, you need to divide by. 4 divided by 2/3 is 6 equals x. Now if you don't have one of our calculators, since you're at home, you probably don't. So if we go back to this step where we have 4 equals 2/3 x, see if you can still see that on your screen. Yes, okay. So the fraction bar means divide. So the opposite of dividing is to multiply by 3, but we've got to do it to both sides. Okay, so 2/3 times x cancels out the 3 on bottom, leaving me 2x equals 3 times 4 is 12. Divide both sides by 2, okay, and x equals 6. So see, I get the same number either way that I do it. One way is easy to do with our calculator. One way is probably easier with your calculator at home. So the last thing that we need to do in this problem is put it in standard form. So we're going to start with our slope-intercept form. Y equals 2/3 x minus 4. Okay? And I need to get my x and my y on the same side. So to do that, I'm going to subtract 2/3 x from both sides to cancel it out over here, leaving me -4 equals -2/3 x plus y. Now in standard form, you can't have fractions. These capital letters mean that they have to be whole numbers, and to be in formal or actual standard form, a cannot be negative. Okay? So I can't have a -2/3 here. So I need to multiply everything by something to make this a whole number and get rid of the negative. So to get rid of the negative, I'm going to multiply by a negative. To get rid of the denominator, I'm going to multiply by the denominator. So -3 times -2/3 gives me -2x. Oh, actually positive 2, because negative times negative is positive. And then -3 times 1y gives me -3y. And -3 times -4 gives me a positive 12. So my standard form is 2x minus 3y equals 12. So in the next problem, we are given slope-intercept form. No, we're given our slope and our y-intercept. So we can quickly figure out my slope-intercept form, which is y equals -2/3 x plus 3. Now from there, you can get the rest of the information. I'm not going to finish working this problem for you because I want to do number 6 with you because it's a little bit tricky. So this is slide 11. Okay. So it gives me my x-intercept and my slope. My x-intercept is not the intercept I need for slope-intercept form. I have to have my y-intercept for that form. But this, notice, is right here. My table tells me when x is -18, my y is 0. So I can fill in that spot right there already. And then I can use my slope because 5/9 is my change in my y's over my change in my x's. Okay, so this 5 tells me that my y's go up by 5. Every time that my x's go up by 9. So let's look over here. If I go from -18 to -9, do I go up 9? I do. If I go from -9 to 0, do I go up 9? I do. So if my change over here in my x's is up 9, then that means I can use my slope and go up 5 here. So 0 up 5, so 0 plus 5 is 5. And so from 5, I can go up another 5, which gives me 10. So that is, notice my x is 0, if x is 0 and y is 10, that's my y-intercept. Now I know my y-intercept and my slope, so I can get this part of my puzzle done, plus 10. And once I have that, then I can convert it to standard form. So y equals 5/9 x plus 10. And I need to get my x and my y on the same side. So if I know I want this to be positive, or if your first instinct is to -10, which is what happened to several people in class today, when you move the 10 to the other side, it doesn't get my x and y on the same side. It's okay. Just now subtract your y and move it to the other side. So I've got negative 10 equals 5/9 minus y. Again, I gotta have whole numbers. It's not negative, so that's good. But I do need to multiply it by the denominator. Everything has to be multiplied by the denominator in order to make it a whole number. So 9 times negative 10 is negative 90. 9 times 5/9, well, the whole reason I multiplied by 9 was to cancel out the denominator. So that gives me 5x. And 9 times negative 1y gives me negative 9y. Now I want to rewrite it up here to be in ax plus by equals c. So 5x minus 9y equals negative 90. I've got everything filled in except for my graph. Use your 2 points, negative 18, positive 10, and graph your line as close to those 2 points as you can. Make sure it's going a positive slope, and you should be good to go. Good luck getting that done and corrected.